College classic? Did you say college classic campuses? Well, sure you did. You know what we're doing is we're reading this book here, and we're going over this book in a way where I was studying with somebody, and they asked me, the book of Daniel, it doesn't talk about the United States of America, does it? And I said, yeah, of course it does. And they said, could you tell me where? And I said, yeah. And actually, the book of Daniel is a warning for people to read. It warns about the end time, and that the Babylonian takeover, which was in Daniel, will do the same thing in the Roman era. And from the Roman era, it'll do the same thing at the end of the world. These are 3 temples that will be built. The first one was thrown down by King Nebuchadnezzar. The second one will be thrown down by Caesar. The third one will be thrown down by the Antichrist, or built up, Solomon's temple. So when they tore down Solomon's temple, they're going to build it back up, but they're going to rebuild Solomon's temple exactly like the Bible, I believe, from the front, and then behind it, they're going to make it even greater. And they're going to want people to believe that this is heaven on earth. And a lot of people say, well, where is the West in the book of Daniel? I'd like to show you. This is one of the places you get to read about the Antichrist and how he becomes great. Daniel 8:4. We'll start off. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared to me, even to me, Daniel, after which appeared to me at the first. And I was in Susa the palace, which is in the land of Elam, and I was on the bank of Yabal. And I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, a ram standing in front of the Yabal. And he had high horns, and one was higher than the other, and the high one came up last. And I saw the ram button westward, and northward, and southward. And no beast could stand before him. There was none that could deliver out of his hand. And he did according to his will, and he became very great. And I was considering, and behold, a he-goat came from the south-west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the earth. And the goat had a horn between his eyes, and he came to the ram that had the horns, which I had seen standing in front of the Yabal, and he ran at him with the violence of his strength. And I saw him coming up close to the ram, and he was fiercely enraged against him. And he smote the ram and broke both his horns. And there was no strength in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him on the ground and trampled on him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. And the he-goat grew exceedingly great, and when he was coming strong, his great horn was broken, and 4 of the horns rose up in its place toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of the one of them came forth one strong horn, and it grew very great toward the south and toward the host, and it magnified itself to the host of heaven. And there fell to the earth some of the hosts of heaven and of the stars, and they trampled on them, And this shall be until the chief captain shall have delivered the captivity, and by reason of him the sacrifice was disturbed, and he prospered. And the holy place shall be made desolate. So apparently here, what's going to happen is this is the Apocrypha Greek Septuagint. So it's hard to read. It's not easy to read because it's in Greek and it's translated. What happens here is that a man grows great and he kicks everybody's butt. Nobody can stand against him. And he uses his popularity or his authority and he kicks butt. And you have to measure this by the candlestick, not by the candlestick of or the seals of what you read. But when you read the seals, you have to read the seals per candlestick. Say, for instance, you read when the Lamb opened the first seal, and this happened, and that happened, and that happened. That's for the first candlestick. That would be Ephesus in Revelations 2. The second candlestick would be the same thing again for the seals. See, they have to, each candlestick has to go up a ladder or the steps. These are called the 6 and 7 steps to Christ Jesus, being the 8th. And they have to go through these, each one, so that way God can prepare them to go to heaven. And what happens is that the Lord gives them an archive to make it. So many will fall off, but many will return to their faith and behave righteously and mind their own business. So Sardis, out of all the candlesticks, is the worst out of all. And they abduct a lot of people and purge a lot of people for righteousness' sake, for their cleansing matters. Say, well, you were disrespecting your God, so we're judging you. And they're supposed to be cleaning their own house, not others. So when you get into the next candlestick, all those other candlesticks are angry that made it to the 6th candlestick, at candlestick 5, and they come against it. That's why it gets broken. That would be Islam, ISIS. This is College Classic, Campus System, TC Bar. The West and the South, what's left, are going to team up together, and they're going to beat these people down. Do you know who the South is? Is that the North? Europe? Where's Europe? It's College Classic, Campus Hits.